Welcome to the first digital version of our Eine-Welt-Landeskonferenz, where we talk about democracy and young participation. And today I have a young democratic activist here, my dear friend Saba from Georgia. Saba, how are you?
I'm glad to be here. I'm feeling good, and I hope that the information which I will provide it will be useful and it will be interesting. Hello, everyone.
Thank you. So to start off, for those who might not know, what is happening in Georgia at the moment?
The situation, like political situation in Georgia, right now it's really complicated because we have protests going on in different cities and especially in capital city for more than 100 days already. And protesters, like the people who go on the demonstrations, they demand new elections, and also they demand freedom for the prisoners of the conscience. I am because the people who were arrested during this time, they were arrested because of the political views, because they were going on to the protests. So that's why it's important to make them free again. Otherwise, they are under threat of the 7 years of prison, or like years of prison. So yeah, like we have two main demands at the moment, and the whole situation it's really complicated, and yeah, that's basically it's like to summarize this generally. Yeah, I don't want to go into too much depth.
What sparked the protests initially?
There are two main reasons what started the protests. First reason I would mention is that I would say that is that the elections, which was held in 2024 in October, it was rigged, and we have a lot of observations about the elections and the reports which say that the elections was not held at the best under the best environment, and there were heavy pressures on the electorate and different kind of manipulations. For example, like Others report say so also, like, and it's really heavy. It's really a heavy thing to rig the elections in the democratic world, right? And the second reason was actually like the trigger point, because with this illegitimate government, with the Georgian Dream, and the prime minister of the regime on 28th of November announced that Georgian Dream is not like the ruling party, just regime, is not going to have like they will stop the negotiations about the accession to EU till 2028. So it means stopping really important process of the negotiations for the admission to the EU, and that was the trigger point for the Georgian society. And everyone on the same day, everyone just went to the streets, and the protests are continuing till from 28th of November. Yeah. So basically, that's the two main reasons what started the protests. The what Prime Minister said, and the elections. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Before we go further into the European Union, to the protests, who organizes them? Are they organized, or is it just spontaneously?
That's the thing about what makes Georgian protests unique, is that to find a specific group that organizes the protests, it's really hard. Of course, there are people who are more active than others, but still, like, to label someone as an organizer, it would be wrong, because usually, because the fuel for these protests are just rage of the people. And to find as I said, like, there is no specific organizer. Like, everyone is a leader, as we said, like in Georgia, and like yeah, the main motivation comes from citizens itself.
Okay. And how are you involved there?
My moment is just going to the protests and trying to declare my position, via social media, or like communicating with the supporters of the ruling party, because yeah, if I say that like ruling party does not like have like zero supporters, it would be lie. Yeah, they have like some part of the supporters, and like I'm trying to communicate with them. and yeah, going to the protests, and yeah, like that's my involvement, I would say.
So from you being involved in the protests, I get that you are agreeing that Georgia needs to be an EU member state.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
that
yeah.
question is kind of obsolete.
Yeah.
And Georgia has the candidate status as a European Union candidate since December 2023, with the condition of following a 9-step plan, which is involving many democratic restructuring. And it also includes fighting disinformation and foreign information manipulation. Any progress yet?
Yeah, it's actually tricky. If you want, like, I can give you more details about why I think Georgia should be part of EU.
Okay.
Because, like,
Sorry.
even historically, I think, yeah, the main motivation could be like economical wealth, but also like with the values, the Georgian values and like Western values, so-called Western values, it's like really close to each other, and we have like tradition also, because when we had our first independence, like from the Russian Empire, we had really progressive constitution for that times in 1918, and all these human rights. It was written in like, and yeah, like during that time, in early 20th century, we already tried to make big steps toward Europe. So it's sort of, I think that like we are really close with values, with perspectives, and yeah, I think that Georgia should join you. Yeah, I do believe that. Yeah, and with the following question about the misinformation, actually, we don't have that much progress with that, because basically to hold the power, and like our government tries to hold the power at maximum, and we have right now repressions. The government just goes in every sphere, like they announced the reforms in educational sphere, so they can get their hands at universities, and youngsters, like they can control like what is their thought, and also with the civil servants. So we have huge repressions, because a lot of people were fired from the jobs, and you can't just do it if you if you have if you don't have misinformation, let's say, if you don't lie, if you don't think about if you don't talk about some other stuff, and like the actual problems which arise in your country, they are just getting behind and for example, our government, they are fighting deep state, yes, and also they are fighting the global war party. Can you tell me what's global war party, or what is deep state?
We know about the deep state. It's a far right-wing conspiracy theory.
Yeah. So like our government, like they are trying to defend us from those two movements, things. Yeah, like
Made up.
yeah. So and that's the thing. The misinformation and propaganda is getting worse and worse. So their electorate won't focus on like actual problems, I would say, and because of that, all these repressions and all this just getting their hands everywhere, and all these fines, like everything is getting on the second, on the background for their electorate, and they are just like, yeah, we are not under, like, we're fighting the global war party, we are not under the influence of the deep state, and yeah, different stuff.
Okay, so they put themselves as the defender of freedom.
Yeah. They are defending our country with dignity. So we are going towards you with dignity, and yeah, what does that mean? Nobody knows, I guess.
It's a broad term.
Yeah.
Okay, coming back to the EU assessment, Kaja Kallas, the Vice President of the Commission, and the Commissioner for Enlargement, Marta Kos, state their concern on the serious setbacks of Georgia's democratic development. How do you think, or do you think, Georgia can get back on the track of the European course?
The interesting thing about the Georgian case also is the pace. The pace of the government, like so-called government, like the regime, of how fast they are legislating the repressive laws. For example, just administrative detention went from 15 days to 60 days, 60 days, and fines, they just went till, like, if it was like $500 for, let's say, closing the road, and if there was not like enough amount for closing the road, it was like $500. Now it's like $5,000, which is like up to 1,700 euros, somewhere there, you know. So we have like huge fines. We have this pace, like unbelievable pace of getting the power. And I think the best thing that Georgia could do right now, like if there really were like political will, is at first to get back to the laws which were not that repressive, and which was not repressive, you know, and just get back, just cancel these huge fines. And the most important thing, like I think, is to um, make free the prisoners of the conscience, you know, because these people are held there for their political views again. And to make them free, it will be really important. And the third one, as I said, would be having new elections, because there are serious proofs, serious concerns that the elections which was held in 2024 were rigged. So with this, those are the three main tasks, like three main steps, which I think, like it's my personal opinion, would set Georgia back on its trail as a leader towards Western, like, democratization and like joining the EU. And just like I think that would be great if yeah, if there will be political will. Yeah.
Yeah, you also mentioned the foreign proof that the elections were rigged. What do you and your fellow protesters expect from foreign organizations, foreign governments?
Yeah, about international stuff. Also, I forgot to mention it. I will mention it as well. Our regime is desperate for the recognition from the on the international stage, and the most of the countries, for example, which congratulated them on winning the elections, were just authoritarian regimes. It already says something, you know. West still doesn't recognize the elections. It already says something. So yeah, that already says something. And if you will talk about the activists, if you will talk about governments, I think right now, in my personal opinion, Georgia's topic is drifting away from the focus, and it's really important for us to prevent this. Maybe Georgia won't become like the mainstream, but we really need to be like our topic in daily agenda, you know. So because if the focus drifts away, then they can even do more. They can even um, yeah, do more, and they can even have faster pace towards this authoritarianism. And some of the research, like some of the rankings already says that like Georgia is leaning super fast toward authoritarianism, and it's really sad actually. So like right now, what we need is more active support, and from the governments. I know that like some of the governments are implementing some sanctions on the officials, but yeah, more like personal sanctions also would be, I think, would put more pressure on them.
Okay. Going a bit away from the
Mhm.
government, but more towards the young generation, which is our topic as well in this online
Yes.
conference. Studies by the Friedrich Ebert Foundation say that young people feel not represented, or in 2023 felt not represented by Georgian government. Would you agree?
Yes.
Do you also feel like that?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And yeah, there is a lot of reasons, because I think if someone wants to, like, if you want someone to be representing you, then that person should understand, like, what is your struggles, what is your problems. You get me right?
Yeah.
To get the proper representation. And yeah, like, usually the youngsters are facing that problem, and I think it's not just Georgia, like, but yeah, like in Georgia too. Because yeah, we need like when you're a youngster, you need someone who understands you, who understands your fights, who understands your struggles. Because with the time passing, the generational struggles change. Yeah, so yeah, I agree with that statement.
Yeah. Maybe also because of that, but also for other reasons. Mainly young people are at the protests, not mainly, but especially, and seemingly pro EU. Is there a generational difference?
If I will say that, like, there is huge generational difference, I would be lying. But yeah, like at the start of the protest, like the most part of the protesters, yeah, were youngsters, and of course we have like the older generation fighting alongside with us too. And yeah, there is a gap, but it's not that huge, I would say. But still, yeah, there is a gap. So, but yeah, at the start, when the brutal force were used against the protesters, like breaking the facial bones, and yeah, like really brutal force, and there's footages, you can just search for it, like how they were trying to dismantle the protests. Yeah, mostly they were like at the front line, there were youngsters standing. And yeah, so that's all.
Okay. Yeah, and you've been in the protest since the beginning, since over 100 days now. What gives you power?
My drive comes from my family. Yeah, it sounds like a cliche, but it comes from my family, it comes from my friends, and it comes from my country. I really love my country. I love our history. It's super rich. I love. I just love it, and I don't want my country uh, to to be in bad hands. Like, I want my country developed. I want my country to be advanced. I want my country with all this, like, wealth, and I just want my country and the population to be happy. And I want to put my, like, the small brick into this kind of huge construction. So that's basically what drives me, like people around me, and just my country, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And you also function as a role model in some positions. You work with young people, you work with young adults, young grown-ups. What would be your message to young people in Georgia, but also internationally?
Yeah, like, yeah, I feel a little bit shy because I'm not a, like, motivational speaker, and it's really, like, strange for me, like, to say, like, motto or something. But I just believe, it's like simple belief, that no one will do the thing which should be done by you. So take an action, act. Like, I believe that, like, if there's something should be done, for example, if this glass should be moved, like, no one will do this if it's like my stuff to do. So you should not wait for someone like doing this, or like taking responsibility for this. Just take an action, act, and do the stuff which should be done by you. Yeah.
Okay. As a last question, what are your plans for the future?
So for the future, I really want to, like, when I was talking about what drives me, yeah, I said my country, and I just really want to make my country a better place. And like, if you will talk about, like, future, yeah, I just wish my country to be a better place, and I just wish to have the contribution to that. And because of that, like, I will study a lot, like, and even get, like, more qualifications and different stuff. And yeah, like, I want to make my country a better place. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your energy, your power, and your fight. And we hope for the best in Georgia, but also internationally.
Thank you for inviting me. I hope it was interesting, and yeah, thank you again.
Thank you for watching, for joining us at the Digital Eine-Welt-Konferenz. And you can also check out the videos about Georgian pride activism and about German climate activism, and also come to our digital formats